Palantir stock might only be up about 5% in the past week, but there is rumors that Palantir could be set for a huge jump in the coming weeks. There is an upcoming catalyst for Palantir in the coming weeks that could see the stock price rise rapidly. In this video, I'm going to analyze Palantir stock and what we can expect in the near term. This is a must-watch video for Palantir stockholders. Before we get into the video, if you find any value in this, can I ask you to smash the like button? It literally costs you nothing, but it helps me out so much. I'm aiming to get 400 likes on this video. Help me hit that goal. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification if you're new so you don't miss out on any new content like this. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, so always do your own due diligence. Now there's a lot to discuss, so let's get straight into it. So what is Palantir Technologies? Palantir is a software company that builds the world's leading platforms for data-driven operations and decision-making. Palantir specializes in data analytics. Its software lets businesses capture and integrate data, develop and manage AI and machine learning models, and build applications that incorporate those data sets and models. These applications help workers make better decisions, and Palantir develop long-term partnerships with organizations working together to help them realize the value in their data and transform how they operate. The company provides solutions for many industries, such as automotive, cyber, financial compliance, law enforcement, and defense forces, among others. It serves various private enterprises, public institutions, and non-profit organizations. Palantir is a fully global company and has operations in North America, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, but Palantir is headquartered in the US. So that's a very simple breakdown of what Palantir is and what they do. Now, Palantir recently debuted a new product called AIP, or Artificial Intelligence Platform, which brings support for large language models and generative AI to its existing software. With industry analysts having praised Palantir for its technology developments, ranking Palantir as a leader in the artificial intelligence and machine learning and data science market in many reports over the past 2 years. Looking at the recent investors presentation, Palantir reported encouraging financial results in Q1. Although Palantir beat analyst estimates with encouraging results, they failed to meet the inflated expectations that had been set. US revenue grew 40% year over year and total revenue grew 21% year over year, but only 4% from the previous quarter. Its customer count climbed 19% from the previous quarter and 69% year over year, with the average existing customer spending more. In turn, revenue increased to $634 million and Palantir recorded adjusted EPS of 8 cents. Now, importantly, Palantir recorded their 5th consecutive quarter of GAAP operating profitability. In a lot of ways, Q1 2024 was by far Palantir's best quarter to date. They have increased their income. They have increased their customer bases, signed 87 new deals of at least 1 million or more, and have ended the quarter in a better position than before with no debt and $3.9 billion in cash and cash equivalents. But Palantir also signed major new deals in recent months, such as the deal with the US Army to deliver the Titan next generation deep sensing capability, which is worth over $180 million, or the deal with Oracle to provide secure platform and AI solutions that power businesses and governments around the world. With guidance set for Q2 of between 649 and 653 million, Palantir did also raise their full year 2024 guidance, estimating 2024 sales of between $2.667 billion and $2.689 billion, and they expect to report free cash flow of between $800 and $1 billion this year, providing the company with enough room to target acquisitions and invest heavily in organic growth. Palantir bags $480 million deal from Pentagon to inject battlefield AI into the entire military. So this is for the Maven Smart system to be used across the Department of Defense by 2029. Although there's not many details at this stage, the Department of Defense says that it wants Palantir to have the work done by 2029. Now, according to Palantir, this deal is for far more than just the MSS prototypes. Up to $480 million will be awarded over 5 years to make licenses available across the DoD. So let's break this down into simple numbers for just a moment. Assuming that this revenue would be split evenly across the 5 years, that would amount to $96 million per year. So although this is a big announcement and it is a big deal, it is still quite small considering that they're expecting annual revenue of 2.6 billion this year alone. But Palantir are signing deal after deal after deal, and it does add up. And Palantir did recently sign another deal, which I'll talk about in just a moment. So Maven is arguably the Pentagon's highest profile artificial intelligence projects and involves the use of AI models and algorithms to identify battlefield targets from available information and surveillance visuals, such as drone video footage. Palantir said its latest contract is beginning with the $150 million order for the MSS rollout at certain combatant commands and the Joint Staff, with plans to continue deploying it beyond. This latest contract isn't the only Maven-related project work that Palantir is doing for the DoD right now either, and it was awarded a $178 million contract earlier this year for an Army vehicle called the Titan Ground Station. Now, before we look at the possibility of Palantir becoming a $1 trillion company, I'm getting so many comments about what stock to cover next. So I'm thinking about doing either a NEO update or a SoFi update and then maybe 1 or 2 more videos over the weekend. Comment below which stock analysis you would like to see most, SoFi or NEO, and if you have any other suggestions, drop them in the comments too. So could Palantir stock be worth $1 trillion by 2040? Now, if you've been following my channel over recent weeks, I did make a video recently where I looked at the possibility of how Palantir could become a $1 trillion company by 2030. Now, if you want to go back and check this video out, there is a link to this on the screen right now and in the description below. But to cut a long story short, Palantir would need to grow its annual revenue massively and unrealistically to achieve 1 trillion by 2030. However, it could well be possible to achieve this by 2040, so let's look at some of the details. With a market cap now of about $48 billion, the stock would have to increase by more than 20-fold to reach $1 trillion. The company is projected to generate approximately $2.7 billion in revenue this year. Hypothetically, if Palantir can grow its revenue by 20% a year consistently, it would generate approximately $50 billion in revenue by 2040. If we place a 10 times multiple on that, and the company would be worth about $500 billion. That's an increase in value of more than 10 times, but still far less than 1 trillion. However, if Palantir can accelerate its annual growth rate to 25%, it would generate about $96 billion in 2040 revenue. At that point, it could well become a $1 trillion stock. So the question is, can Palantir grow its annual growth rate by 25% or more for the next decade? And although the answer to this is not simple, we just need to look at the investor's presentation and the recent financial results to see what is being achieved to date. We can see here that they grew their commercial revenue by 27% and they grew their US commercial revenue by 40% in the last quarter. And Alex Karp has been talking about the Rule of 40 in his recent earnings call. The Rule of 40 is a common metric used to measure the performance of a software as a service company. Measuring the trade-off between profitability and growth, the Rule of 40 asserts that a successful SaaS company's growth rate and profit margin should add up to 40% or more, which Palantir has been doing fairly consistently for the past couple of years. But to keep this up for the next 15 years is a whole other level. But if AI is still in its early days and Palantir technology becomes foundational platform for both governments and commercial businesses, then it is very possible. After all, Alex Karp did say that he expects Palantir to become the biggest AI company in the world in the coming years. But what is more likely, and something that is very possible this year, is that Palantir could be included in the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is an index comprised of the 500 biggest companies in the US, and getting inducted into the S&P 500 is a big milestone that represents major validation for businesses. The eligibility requirements for inclusion into the index are no small feat. So how does a company become included in the S&P 500? And if Palantir is to get into the S&P, then why are insiders selling shares now? But in terms of market cap, in terms of trading volume and public ownership, Palantir fits the bill. But one of the most important variables revolves around profitability. Specifically, the sum of the company's trailing 12-month earnings must be positive. Palantir recently became profitable, and as we can see here, Palantir's earnings have been positive for the past 5 consecutive quarters. Well, it's highly likely that induction into the S&P 500 index will put Palantir on the radar of more institutional investors. As such, the company's coverage from investment banks and interest from hedge funds may begin to increase, and all of this is good for investors. Now, although Palantir's inclusion in the S&P 500 is not guaranteed, I would be surprised if it isn't included in the upcoming rebalancing. But guys, nothing is for certain, and I would love to hear your thoughts about this in the comments below. Can Palantir become a $1 trillion company? And realistically, how long do you think that would take now that the company is finally profitable? Now, this is just my opinion, and there is a lot of variables to consider. 2040 is a long way away, and this is not financial advice. Now, there is a lot of talk, as always, about Palantir on social media, but always do your own due diligence. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor, but if you enjoyed this analysis, then please like and subscribe. I hope you make a load of money on this stock. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll catch you.